I'm Michael Urie. Proud to be with you all. Sad that we have to. The Special Counsel's charging decisions. In reaching the charging decisions described in Volume 1 of the report, the office determined whether the conduct it found amounted to a violation of federal criminal law chargeable under the principles of federal prosecution. The standard set forth in the Justice Manual is whether the conduct constitutes a crime. If so, whether the admissible evidence would probably be sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction, and whether prosecution would serve a substantial federal interest that could not be adequately served by prosecution elsewhere or through non-criminal alternatives. Section 5 of the report provides detailed explanations of the office's charging decisions, which contain three main components. First, the office determined that Russia's two principal interference operations in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, the social media campaign, and the hacking and dumping operations, violated U.S. criminal law. Many of the individuals and entities involved in the social media campaign have been charged with participating in a conspiracy to defraud the United States by undermining, through deceptive acts, the work of federal agencies charged with regulating foreign influence in U.S. elections, as well as related counts of identity theft. Separately, Russian intelligence officers who carried out the hacking into Democratic Party computers and the personal email accounts of individuals affiliated with the Clinton campaign conspired to violate, among other federal laws, the federal computer intrusion statute, and they have been so charged. Redacted, harm to ongoing matter. Second, while the investigation identified numerous links between individuals with ties to the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign, the evidence was not sufficient to support criminal charges. Among other things, the evidence was not sufficient to charge any campaign official as an unregistered agent of the Russian government or other Russian principal. And our evidence about the June 9, 2016 meeting and WikiLeaks' releases of hacked materials was not sufficient to charge a criminal campaign finance violation. Further, the evidence was not sufficient to charge that any member of the Trump campaign conspired with representatives of the Russian government to interfere in the 2016 election. Third, the investigation established that several individuals affiliated with the Trump campaign lied to the office and to the Congress about their interactions with Russian-affiliated individuals and related matters. Those lies materially impaired the investigation of Russian election interference. The office charged some of those lies as violations of the federal false statements statute. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn pleaded guilty to lying about his interactions with Russian Ambassador Kislyak during the transition period. George Papadopoulos, a foreign policy advisor during the campaign period, pleaded guilty to lying to investigators about, inter alia, the nature and timing of his interactions with Joseph Mifsud, the professor who told Papadopoulos that the Russians had dirt on candidate Clinton in the form of thousands of emails. Former Trump Organization attorney Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to making false statements to Congress about the Trump Moscow project. Redacted, harm to ongoing matter. And in February 2019, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia found that Manafort lied to the office and the grand jury concerning his interactions and communications with Konstantin Kilimnik about Trump campaign polling data and a peace plan for Ukraine. The office investigated several other events that have been publicly reported to involve potential Russian-related contacts. For example, the investigation established that interactions between Russian Ambassador Kislyak and Trump campaign officials, both at the candidate's April 2016 foreign policy speech in Washington, D.C., and during the week of the Republican National Convention, were brief, public, and non-substantive. And the investigation did not establish that one campaign official's efforts to dilute a portion of the Republican Party platform on providing assistance to Ukraine were undertaken at the behest of candidate Trump or Russia. The investigation also did not establish that a meeting between Kislyak and Sessions in September 2016 at Sessions' Senate office included any more than a passing mention of the presidential campaign. The investigation did not always yield admissible information or testimony or a complete picture of the activities undertaken by subjects of the investigation. Some individuals invoked their Fifth Amendment right against compelled self-incrimination and were not, in the office's judgment, appropriate candidates for grants of immunity. The office limited its pursuit of other witnesses and information, such as information known to attorneys or individuals claiming to be members of the media, in light of internal Department of Justice policies. Some of the information obtained via court process, moreover, was presumptively covered by legal privilege and was screened from investigators by a filter or taint team. Even when individuals testified or agreed to be interviewed, they sometimes provided information that was false or incomplete, leading to some of the false statements, charges described above. And the office faced practical limits on its ability to access relevant evidence as well. Numerous witnesses and subjects lived abroad, and documents were held outside the United States. Further, the office learned that some of the individuals we interviewed, or whose conduct we investigated, including some associated with the Trump campaign, deleted relevant communications or communicated during the relevant period using applications that feature encryption or that do not provide for long-term retention of data or communications records. In such cases, the office was not able to corroborate witness statements through comparison to contemporaneous communications or fully question witnesses about statements that appeared inconsistent with other known facts. Accordingly, while this report embodies factual and legal determinations that the office believes to be accurate and complete to the greatest extent possible, given these identified gaps, the office cannot rule out the possibility that the unavailable information would shed additional light on or cast in a new light the evidence described in the report. 1. The Special Counsel's investigation. On May 17, 2017, Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein, then serving as Acting Attorney General for the Russia investigation, following the recusal of former Attorney General Jeff Sessions on March 2, 2016, appointed the Special Counsel, quote, to investigate Russian interference with the 2016 presidential election and related matters, unquote. The Acting Attorney General ordered the appointment of a special counsel, quote, in order to discharge the Acting Attorney General's responsibility to provide supervision and management of the Department of Justice and to ensure a full and thorough investigation of the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, unquote. Appointment order, introduction, the special counsel, the order stated, is authorized to conduct the investigation confirmed by then FBI Director James B. Comey in testimony before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence on March 20th, 2016, including 1. Any links and or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the campaign of President Donald Trump, and 2. Any matters that arose or may arise directly from the investigation, and 3. Any other matters within the scope. Appointment order. Section 600 affords the special counsel, quote, the authority to investigate and prosecute federal crimes committed in the course of and with intent to interfere with the special counsel's investigations, such as perjury, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and intimidation of witnesses, unquote. The authority to investigate, quote, any matters that arose directly from the investigation. Appointment order covers similar crimes that may have occurred during the course of the FBI's confirmed investigation before the special counsel's appointment, quote, if the special counsel believes it is necessary and appropriate, unquote. The order further provided the special counsel is authorized to prosecute federal crimes arising from the investigation of these matters. Finally, the acting attorney general made applicable sections 600 through 600.4 through 600.10 of Title 28 of the Code of Federal Regulations. The acting attorney general further clarified the scope of the special counsel's investigatory authority in two subsequent memoranda. The memorandum dated August 2, 2017, explained that the appointment order had been worded categorically in order to permit its public release without confirming specific investigations involving specific individuals. It then confirmed that the special counsel had been authorized since its appointment to investigate allegations that 3 Trump campaign officials, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, and George Papadopoulos, quote, committed a crime or crimes by colluding with Russian government officials with respect to the Russian government's efforts to interfere with the 2016 presidential election, unquote. The memorandum also confirmed the special counsel's authority to investigate certain other matters, including 2 additional sets of allegations involving Manafort, crimes arising from payments he received from the Ukraine government, and crimes arising from his receipt of loans from a bank whose CEO was then seeking a position in the Trump administration, allegations that Papadopoulos committed a crime or crimes by acting as an unregistered agent of the Israeli government, and 4 sets of allegations involving Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor to President Trump. On October 20th, 2017, the acting attorney general confirmed in a memorandum the special counsel's investigative authority as to several individuals and entities. First, quote, as part of a full and thorough investigation of the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election, unquote, the special counsel was authorized to investigate, quote, the pertinent activities of Michael Cohen, Richard Gates, redacted, Roger Stone, and redacted, unquote. Quote, confirmation of the authorization to investigate such individuals, unquote, the memorandum stressed, quote, does not suggest that the special counsel has made a determination that any of them has committed a crime, unquote. Second, with respect to Michael Cohen, the memorandum recognized the special counsel's authority to investigate leads related to Cohen's establishment and use of Essential Consultants, LLC, to, inter alia, receive funds from Russian-backed entities. Third, the memorandum memorialized the special counsel's authority to investigate individuals and entities who were possibly engaged in jointly undertaken activity with existing subjects of the investigation, including Paul Manafort. Finally, the memorandum described an FBI investigation opened before the special counsel's appointment into allegations that then Attorney General Jeff Sessions made false statements to the United States Senate and confirmed the special counsel's authority to investigate that matter. The special counsel structured the investigation in view of his power and authority, quote, to exercise all investigative and prosecutorial functions of any United States attorney, unquote. Like a U.S. Attorney's Office, the special counsel's office considered a range of classification and unclassification available to the FBI in the course of the office's Russia investigation, and the office structured that work around evidence for possible use in prosecutions of federal crimes, assuming that one or more crimes were identified that warranted prosecution. There was substantial evidence immediately available to the special counsel at the inception of the investigation in May of 2017, because the FBI had, by that time, already investigated Russian election interference for nearly 10 months. The special counsel's office exercised its judgment regarding what to investigate and did not, for instance, investigate every public report of a contact between the Trump campaign and Russian-affiliated individuals and entities.